we are celebrating 25 years of being
Tyler Perry, who offered up his Beverly Hills.
So imagine this. You roll out the most glamorous red carpet of generosity. We're talking about your $18 million Beverly Hills mansion, an army of private security, gourmet chefs on call, and even millions in cold, hard cash just to rescue two royals who were running away from the monarchy like fugitives in some Netflix drama. You don't just open your doors. You bankroll their escape. You give them time. You risk your own reputation. You keep them safe when everyone else turned their backs. And a few years later, those very same royals are dodging your calls, ignoring repayment, and parading around flaunting the very lifestyle you funded. That's not just a betrayal. That's a blockbuster scandal playing out right now between Tyler Perry and Meghan and Harry. And trust me, it's messier than a Real Housewives reunion after too many glasses of champagne. Let's rewind to 2020. Meghan and Harry dropped their royal duties in the most dramatic exit we've ever seen. They promised a fresh start. No royal handouts, no taxpayer money, just financial independence and grit. They sold it like the ultimate Hollywood reboot. Harry and Meghan, the self-made years. People cheered. Brands drooled. Fans lined up to root for them. And then swoops in Tyler Perry like a real-life fairy godfather. He didn't just lend them his sprawling mansion when the UK stripped their royal protection. He reportedly pulled out his wallet and loaned them a jaw-dropping $16 million. That money funded their Montecito mansion, their 24/7 security, and the first phase of their grand Hollywood reinvention. But here's the twist no one saw coming. 3 years later, Perry allegedly wants every penny back, and this time, he isn't asking nicely. Insiders say he's furious, and when someone like Tyler, known for his loyalty and for handling business behind closed doors, starts letting whispers leak out, you know it's serious. And honestly, who can blame him? He's not some charity. He's a billionaire mogul who built an empire with his bare hands. For him, it's not even about the cash. It's about respect, about promises, about integrity. He gave them a lifeline when their brand was one bad headline away from total collapse. He gave them sanctuary when they sobbed about paparazzi stalking them in Canada. And now, they're dodging him like he's an unpaid credit card bill. In Perry's world, that's not just shady. It's personal. Let's break down the numbers because this is where the illusion shatters. Montecito isn't cheap. Their palatial estate alone, worth over $14 million. But buying the place was just the beginning. Add staff, property taxes, round-the-clock private security, drivers, nannies, chefs, gardeners, the works. That's millions in upkeep every year. And no, Spotify and one Netflix series didn't cover that. So who made it all possible? Tyler Perry. Without his $16 million, their so-called fairy tale would have been little more than a Malibu Airbnb stay. And here's where it gets juicier. Meghan and Harry branded themselves as financially independent, proudly shouting about empowerment, climate change, and self-reliance. But those glossy speeches look a whole lot hollower when you're flying private while allegedly dodging repayment to the man who once gave you shelter. This isn't just a bad PR look, it's radioactive. If Perry chooses to go public or even worse, drag this into court, their finances, contracts, and private dealings would all be ripped wide open. Forget privacy, forget independence. Once Perry pulls the legal trigger, their Hollywood dream could collapse overnight. And don't forget, Tyler Perry isn't just some Hollywood buddy with a few extra dollars. He's a powerhouse mogul. Generous, yes, but sharp. He doesn't hand out $16 million without expecting accountability. If he's demanding repayment, it's not petty, it's a warning. Even royalty can't mess with Tyler Perry's money.
Needed to redirect, otherwise they were going to lose him. And it's like, you know what? You don't even know how. I know he would be like, you don't know these people, but he is hearing, back to Meghan's comments, a one-sided takedown of a family. He does not know the other side, and he is hearing one very jaded side.
And you know what makes all of this sting even worse for Perry? It's how Meghan and Harry used his generosity. His Beverly Hills mansion wasn't just a house, it was their launch pad. That was where they staged their big rebrand, where they filmed those first Zoom calls that charmed the media, where they negotiated the deals that were supposed to transform them into Hollywood royalty. He gave them safety and comfort when they literally had nowhere else to go. That kind of generosity should have earned Perry lifelong gratitude. Instead, insiders claim he got silence when the bill came due. Silence, excuses, and a carefully crafted public image campaign where Meghan and Harry painted themselves as scrappy, self-made icons, while secretly leaning on Perry's millions. And Hollywood? Hollywood is watching this unfold like hawks. The whispers are brutal. Executives are murmuring, if Perry's out millions, who's next? Because let's face it, what if Tyler isn't the only one? What if other quiet backers, the ones who paid for private jets, luxury getaways, and designer wardrobes, start knocking on the door too? Perry might just be the first domino in a line waiting to fall. See, Hollywood runs on perception. Reputations are currency. And if someone as powerful as Tyler Perry publicly distances himself from Meghan and Harry, that's a scarlet letter. Already, PR experts are warning this could be worse than their Spotify flop. Brands don't want legal drama, studios don't want liabilities, and no one wants to bankroll a couple who can't even pay back the man who saved them. Meanwhile, across the pond, the royals are watching this play out with thinly veiled amusement. King Charles isn't offering bailouts. William definitely isn't swooping in with a lifeline. Why would they? This is Harry's mess now. The irony is sharp. The very son who loudly declared he didn't need royal funding is now under pressure to repay a Hollywood mogul without a palace safety net to fall back on. And supporters? The ones who once believed in the Sussex fairy tale of independence? They're starting to feel duped. The story of two underdogs building a new life from scratch. It was inspiring until the illusion shattered. Now it turns out their independence was built on Perry's millions. And the narrative has flipped. Meghan and Harry aren't self-made heroes. They're looking like entitled freeloaders, dodging debts and losing credibility by the minute. And Tyler Perry's demand? That wasn't just about repayment. That was a wake-up call. A reminder that in Hollywood, palace drama only gets you so far. You can charm cameras, play the victim, and spin your story. But eventually, the receipts come due. And Tyler Perry is not the man you want waving those receipts in public. Because here's the nightmare scenario. If this heads to court, every little secret will be dragged out into the light. If that $16 million was structured as a formal loan, repayment isn't optional. It's enforceable. That means contracts, repayment schedules, interest, and maybe even collateral. Which raises the million-dollar question. What did Meghan and Harry put up as security? Did Perry hold a stake in their Montecito mansion? Did he secure rights to future projects as backup? If it goes legal, all of it, wire transfers, signatures, clauses, becomes public record. And once that curtain is pulled back, there's no putting it down again. Imagine the headlines. Duke and Duchess of Debt. Court documents laying bare their spending habits. Every extravagant purchase, every questionable favor, every quiet deal, exposed. And even without the courtroom spectacle, Perry doesn't need to rant on Oprah or rant to TMZ. Just the whisper that he's demanding repayment has already lit a fire under their brand. Because Tyler Perry isn't someone you cross lightly. He's got ties everywhere. Studios, networks, brands, politicians. He's not just respected, he's feared. And when Perry draws a line, Hollywood listens. That's the terrifying part for Meghan and Harry, being blacklisted in the very industry they staked everything on. Even in Britain, the optics are catastrophic. For King Charles, it's vindication. For William, it's leverage. The son who claimed he didn't need the firm is now drowning in Hollywood debt. For the monarchy, it's proof. Harry traded stability for chaos. Meghan's promises of self-sufficiency, exposed as smoke and mirrors. And the British tabloids? They're feasting. They're painting Meghan and Harry as royal freeloaders, hypocrites who ditch duty only to sponge off Hollywood generosity. Public opinion, already rock bottom, is sliding even further. Once upon a time, Harry was the cheeky prince the world adored. Now, he's painted as a husband drowning in debt, dragging his family name through the mud. But Meghan? Her image problem is even sharper. Once she leaned on her outsider narrative, the misunderstood Duchess silenced by the crown. Now that story has collapsed. Critics are saying she looks less like a victim and more like a social climber who burned through Hollywood's goodwill in record time. And if Perry truly cuts ties, that's game over. Because if even your closest allies don't trust you, why should the public? Why should brands? Why should studios? And here's where it gets even more personal. Because let's be real, Tyler Perry wasn't bending over backwards to protect Harry. His loyalty, his friendship, his generosity, it was for Meghan. Their bond was forged long before Harry even entered the picture. Perry positioned himself as Meghan's guardian angel during her stormiest days. He was the Black Hollywood powerhouse who stood beside the Duchess who claimed she'd been silenced. That bond, that trust, was what made him step in when things got ugly. And now, that friendship looks cracked, maybe even shattered. Word is, Perry feels used. Friends close to him whisper he's had enough. Enough of the excuses, enough of the missed deadlines, enough of watching Meghan and Harry parade around as Hollywood elite while still dodging obligations. For a man like Perry, who built his billion-dollar empire from the ground up, loyalty and accountability mean everything. And when those values get trampled, he doesn't just walk away quietly. He makes sure the world knows he's not the one to be played with. And let's not forget the legal elephant in the room. If this $16 million was officially structured as a loan, repayment isn't optional. It's legally enforceable. That could could mean repayment schedules, contracts, interest, and possibly even collateral. Which begs the question, did Harry and Meghan put up their Montecito mansion as security? Did Perry quietly lock in rights to future projects just in case? If this case ever lands in a courtroom, those answers will all come out. Imagine it. Court documents, every clause, every wire transfer, every extravagant expense dissected by the public. Headlines screaming, Duke and Duchess of Debt, their glamorous lifestyle torn apart line by line in black and white legal filings. Privacy, gone. Independence, shattered. Reputation, in flames. But even without court drama, Perry's silence is deafening. He doesn't need to sit down with Oprah. He doesn't need TMZ. The fact that one leak about him demanding repayment has set the entire Sussex brand ablaze shows just how powerful his shadow is. Tyler Perry isn't just another name in Hollywood. He's an institution. Studios, networks, politicians, executives, they all respect him. Many fear crossing him. And if Perry draws a line, others line up behind him. That's the nightmare for Meghan and Harry. Blacklisting. Being frozen out of the very industry they put all their chips on. Even in Britain, the optics are a disaster. Royal insiders are watching this play out like it's vindication. For King Charles, it proves his point. For William, it's leverage. The very son who screamed about independence is now tangled in financial chaos. To the monarchy, Harry traded tradition for instability. Meghan's self-sufficiency revealed as smoke, mirrors, and borrowed millions. And the tabloids aren't holding back. They're devouring the royal freeloaders angle, gleefully painting Meghan and Harry as hypocrites who abandon duty only to mooch off others. Public opinion, already in the gutter, is sliding lower still. Harry, once the cheeky prince adored worldwide, is now seen as a husband drowning in debt, dragging his family's name deeper into scandal. And Meghan? Her once carefully crafted narrative is collapsing, no longer the misunderstood duchess silenced by the crown. Now critics are painting her as a social climber, one who torched Hollywood's goodwill faster than anyone could have imagined. If Perry fully cuts ties, her brand might never recover. Because if even your closest ally doesn't trust you, why should the rest of the world? And you can bet the palace is watching carefully. If Perry steps back and the Sussex shine finally fades, Meghan becomes the problem. Harry, the pawn. Suddenly, divorce rumors don't sound so far-fetched. Suddenly, whispers about custody battles over Archie and Lilibet don't sound so dramatic. Suddenly, Harry's potential path back into the royal fold looks possible. For now, Perry is calm. He hasn't gone nuclear. But the fact that this story leaked at all means his patience has worn thin. And here's the thing, Tyler Perry doesn't bluff. If he says he wants repayment, he'll get repayment. Whether it's through a quiet settlement, public humiliation, or a courtroom showdown, Harry and Meghan are cornered. And the biggest question hanging in the air right now, do they even have $16 million liquid to pay him back? Or is their entire Montecito life one bounced check away from disaster? Because if they can't pay Perry, if they can't honor their promises, then their empire, the one built on rebellion, independence, and reinvention, comes crashing down. And when that happens, this fairy tale doesn't end with happily ever after. It ends with a cautionary tale, one about what happens when rebellion meets reality, when promises collapse under the weight of receipts, and when even the most powerful allies finally say enough.